H&P Bullingdon. What a very horrible place that is. It's a B-cat prison. Apparently a few years ago it was a C-cat prison. And I was in there. You go on F-wing, is the induction wing. You land in there, you think, wow, it's like a different world. It's very hard prison, a lot of lock up. You're barely out of your cell. The only way to survive that prison really is when you come off to your induction wing. It's to go generally to like a C wing. E wing is the sex offender wing. So you, obviously if you're a sex offender, I obviously personally don't agree with you people. You will go onto them wings. I was on C wing. So, but actually the first time I was in Bullingdon, which was 2016, because it's my local prison, they put me from F wing. I ended up doing about 4 days on there. Then they moved me to A wing. I think I was on A1 or something like that. Sharing cells, horrible. I think I was in there for 6 months. I had about 20 different cellmates, which is horrible. Like, I'm high risk, so I shouldn't have to share a cell. But Bullingdon, they didn't listen to the rules, and generally I just bit my tongue, done the 6 months there. Then they moved me on to H&P Stockton, and obviously I'll do another video on Stockton. I spent like 3 years there, so that's another one. But yeah, so obviously that first 6 months, it's like, obviously that was my second sentence, so I've just done Reading, Aylesbury, Coldenley before that, and then I had a gap of a year, and then I went back inside. So when I'm in Bullingdon, it's like, I've been 3 jails before Bullingdon, so I had a bit of experience. It was just a whole different kettle of fish. The staff in there are a joke. The attitude. The boys in there generally were alright, but it's just like you had lifers, you had long-termers, and then on top of that you had short-termers. So you had people doing short sentences who couldn't do their time, moaning, oh, I've got 6 weeks, I've got to do 3. I said, mate, I've got 7 years. I said, like, I've not even got that long compared to a lot of other lads. So I'm just cracking on with my time. So by the time I'm here, I'll see you 2 or 3 times. And that's what happened. I see people with short sentences coming in and out, in and out. And I just chat to the lifers and I say to them, if only we got that lucky, eh? We could get in and out like that. We got to wait years before we got our chance. Yeah, it's just you're putting people in for long term and short term at the same time. So you should have separate wings generally. Like when I was in other prisons, they generally had a lifer wing or had long termers wing. In Bullingdon, they go wrong. They mix you all together. So eventually from then I moved to Stockton, HP Stockton, which was a C-cat. But that was the first time. So obviously then I went to Stockton for 3 years. I had 3 months left of the 7 years time. So I ended up doing, I think it was 3 years, 3 months, 17 days behind the door. Because I got a 3-year EPP, and generally with your sentences, halfway you go release or parole. And I had paroles, kept getting knocked back. So at the end of the day, it was a 7-year sentence in the end. I did 3 years, 3 months, 17 days behind the door. And then on with that EPP, I was meant to have a 2-year licence as well, and that's what I've done since being out. I've completed that licence. So that was the first time. And obviously when I went back to Bullingdon in 2018, after being at Stockton for years, it was like you're going backwards in time. So then I've had to go back to F-wing. Within a day of being there, they said to me, you're moving to A-wing. I said, I'm moving nowhere, and this is a single cell. On my own space. No, Mr. Ayres, there's none. I said, I refuse. Take me down the block here and now. All the shenanigans, IEPs, you're going on basic, fair play, whatever. I have 3 months left. Of all that time, I was ready to ride it. They've come to me. Yep, there's a cell for you on C wing, but you have to go on a double for a week, a double cell, shared, and then you'll get your single. I said, how do I know I can trust you? They said, it will happen. I said, can you write that down, please? They didn't want to write it down. So I did end up moving, but then on my terms, I said, I want to see a doctor. so you can diagnose, because I've got IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. I said, I want the doctor to write that down, get it all done, put me on a special diet like I was on in Stockholm, which is gluten-free bread and fish and stuff. And that's what they did in the end. Like, it wasn't a week I was sharing the cell, it ended up being 3 weeks. But then I did get my single cell, which was lovely. On C-Wing, and it was actually okay when you're on your own and you had a couple of local lads there. But yet again, the common denominator. You had the long-termers, a couple of us, and then you had the short-termers. So all these boys, they're very hard people, gangsters, screaming and crying for their mums and talking about they're going to do this and they're going to do that. It never blooming happened. We sat out there, I was on the threes, so I was sat on the threes looking down with a couple of other lads. I was thinking, these people, they're just so silly. Like, they're putting 21-year-olds in with adults, yeah, which is normal, but then put them on a separate wing where it's 21-year-olds to 25 because they're immature. So all they're doing is constantly arguing with someone over silliness. Now, when you're a long-term or a bit of a lifer, you don't need the hassle. You just want to do your time in that prison and move on to a better one. These guys, it's like, yeah, that was a major fault with Bullingdon. So then I ended up back on C-Wing. Got a couple of jobs in there. I think I was working laundry. I didn't get DHL there. I was the church man. I was the chapel orderly. That was okay. What happened? I basically worked till the day I got out in the church. I worked the night before. Beautiful church in there. Lovely people. The vicars, the imams, the Sikh leaders. Lovely, lovely people, and I enjoyed the experience with them. And generally, when you had that routine, the time did go quick in Bullingdon. I think you just need a job in there. And when I actually got that job, because the first time I was in there, I had no job for 5-6 months. I was just behind the door, going library once a week, gym 2 or 3 times a week. And you lose a lot of motivation, especially when you've got to share a cell, which I weren't used to. And using the toilet in front of another man, it's very, very uncomfortable for me. Very disgusting. What else was it like? So then, when I got the church job, I got a little bit more freedom. I was getting my diet special, gluten-free stuff, the fish, the chicken. And generally it ran smooth, but yet again with Bullingdon, when they offered me the laundry job with my cousin Robin, within a day of me being there, the guy spoke to me like crap. He said, go do this, go do that. I said, no. I said, I've done too long to hear this from, it wasn't even a prison officer, it was one of the workers there. I said, I quit. So then I ended up, from that quit, I ended up going behind the door for a month in Bullingdon. No gym. They even tried to ban me from church, going to church, but the vicars and that, they used to let me out, so... Yeah, it was a month behind the door for just that. I mean, I didn't realise it'd be a month behind the door, but I just can't be spoken to like that. I wouldn't take it from a prisoner, let alone them sort of people. And at least prisoners are living with me. They've got that frustration and they can understand. But this guy used to go home every day, so I didn't realise why he was so snappy. Maybe he's got his own issues, but as a prisoner, you have worse issues. That's what people seem to forget. You're in prison, you want to go home, but you can't. So then when I'd done the month behind the door, getting the church job, it was very, very smooth, very beautiful how they treated me. The officers used to look at you slightly different, like, he's a lot more calmer just because he works in the church. I am at peace in the church, but the issues are still the same. Even though I was working, sometimes you get delays, getting out the door, like everyone did. And it was like I was targeted for being a traveller. So it was constantly that battle. Not just my paranoia, it was a fact. And I had like a couple of friends in there and they said to me, Danny, why are they always like strip searching your cell? You're not done for drugs or anything? I said, no. And then in the end, every visit I used to have, basically I used to get a strip search. And I used to think, nah, it's targeted here. And the main problem what I had done was, when you go to prison, you can put your ethnicity. And I ended up putting W3 as traveller. And I wish I never now. I wish I just said English. Because I did get targeted. And generally, like, if there was too many travellers on the wings in Bullingdon, they would like to move you on quick. So at one point, I think when I was on A-Wing a few years ago, they there was about 9 or 10 of us on the wing. They all just moved us all very quickly onto different wings. So it is a targeted thing against gypsies, and as I used to do, I used to just try and crack on and just carry on. But I'm speaking out about it now because it is a problem in life as well as prison life. Yes, you hear the officers, it's just our job and blah blah blah. It's all crap. We know the truth. You target certain people because you think certain people will do certain crimes, but they should never assume, because not everyone's what they seem when you see them. You know, I'll just keep my head down. And when that man spoken to me that way in Bullingdon, it really, I thought, I've done so many years and I took no crap from anybody. Why should I have to take that? Just being very snappy, very aggressive for me trying my best at that job, and I was really trying. So yeah, when you're in a church environment, especially when I was in Stockton, I was the churchman as well, they're beautiful people. Imams, vicars, no matter what religion they are. I never got pressured to be a certain religion by any leader of the religion. They were beautiful people, and I respect them massively. And my best memories are with them people, and generally good friends of my lifers. And obviously I feel for them a lot. They got to sit in prison, they can't have a fag. And especially in an environment like Bullingdon, you need a fag just to calm yourself down because of the stress and just the silliness that happens on a daily basis in that prison. And obviously when I was there as well, they were filming the prison. I was in there and I'd done an interview, and the man said to me with the camera, he said, "Your interview will be put online." It never. So why am I speaking 45 minutes into the camera and it's not going online? Is that another racist thing? We don't know. Bullingdon is one hell of a place. I wouldn't recommend it. Probably the worst prison I've been in out of the 5, 6 I've done, because of just everything about the place is a fail. Like your food, there was always delays. Obviously, when I had the special diet, my stuff was put in plastic, so it was like not a lot of people could touch it. So it's a little bit better. But generally, you couldn't blame the lads behind the servers and stuff. I'll be the same. They just dip their hands in and they try their best to get... It's the protein, so it's quite valuable in prison, like free protein, and because the money's so bad in there and people can't afford all the protein powders, so if they're seeing salmon, fish, cod, they're going to take bits, and you can't really blame them. But they used to deliver me soya milks, bananas, gluten-free bread, obviously the fish and chicken on a couple of meals a day, so that wasn't too bad. But yeah, so that was Bullingdon. I spent obviously 5, 6 months in the first time, and then 3 months. So all in all, only about 9 months there. Obviously my next video, Stockholm's going to be more in depth because I spent 3 years there. But as my local prisoner, if I ever got in trouble again, I'd be ending up back in Bullingdon, and it is a horrible place. It's not generally the lads, it's just the way it's run, and the system is to fail anyway, any prison you're in. Some prisons are easier than others. That, as a local, is hell, purely before the short-termers, the long-termers all mixed. If they separated guys, because generally when you're with long-termers, they're very, very calm, set, even no matter what they've done. I'm talking murder, armed robber, drug dealers. They're better people for me personally to be around. When you're a bit more wiser, you just want to keep your head down, go to work, do your gym. You don't be shouting and screaming all the time. I'm this, I'm that, I'm this big gangster hard man. I see a lot of people in Bullingdon doing this with their fists, like they can fight. Obviously I did a little bit of boxing myself. Personally, they never challenged me, but I'm just saying to you that sort of behaviour, doing all this stuff, is like you can fight. And I used to watch a lot of guys do this and end up getting beaten up, because there's always a tougher man around the corner. So you have to carry yourself a certain way, be clever. If you're going to be a fighting man, wait till you get outside, I would say. Fighting in prison don't achieve nothing. Obviously, I went away for GBH intent and GBH. There was no need for me to fight. Like, if I fight again, I could end up getting life sentence. So it didn't make no sense. Didn't obviously want to go in the first time. Didn't want to go in the second time. But it happened. And I had to do the time and get out. And that's what I did. HMP, Bullingdon, anything else? There was a lot of, obviously, people on drugs, and that spice is a very bad thing. Also, I'm not going to mention no names. I'm just saying what I lived through. There was a lot of that. There's a lot of drug problem in prison. I personally don't do drugs. A lot of people do. And a lot of people do it to forget through the time, the issues they got. We've all got problems in our own ways. But for me personally, I wouldn't take drugs. And I used to watch people on a daily basis in that prison taking drugs. And it's very sad to watch people get that like high and then they're low again and they're high again. Yeah, it's a system. It pushes people a certain way. I think you need to be strong mentally to get through it. And I'm luckily I got that. The church obviously helped, the gym, the family and friends. Like, if a lot of people lose all that, it's like, what else have they actually got? And it is very sad. And the officers, their jobs are to target these people. They target the vulnerable. Yeah, it's very sad. Like, especially the boys that they ain't got no family sending money in. They're struggling. They're working these dead end jobs in prison. Poor money. Then they're getting in debt and spiraling. They're going from one wing to another, running away. It's a vicious circle, and it probably will be worse now. Obviously, we're in 2021 now. I'm talking when I was in there years ago, the smoking ban. A lot of people are struggling. It's very hard, and they expect people to smoke a vape pen, which basically clogs your chest up. Let's see if I've got the pen. The actual prison pen you have. Okay, so this is what they give you inside. And you're basically smoking this with capsules. It's £4 for free. When I was in it was tobacco flavour and menthol. And if you're a smoker like I am, I smoke 20-30 fags a day. This thing here is goodish, but it's like you miss your fags. Now, if you're a lifer, you smoke for all them years in prison, so you've done for 10-15 years, and then one day they go, boom, no more fags. It's disgusting. It's breach of human rights. It was only because an officer complained about breathing in smoke after just checking somebody's cell, going boom, boom. That's all an officer has to do, just bolts and bars. They check the window and the thing, boom, boom. The officer's saying he received secondhand smoke from doing that. I say you should put officers who smoke in smoking prisons, officers who don't smoke in non-smoking prisons. It will solve the problem. People in prison deserve to have a cigarette. They got a hard day and a hard years away. They can at least have a fag that they pay for, that they're earning. It is very disgusting. They force these on the people, and like they forced them on me, that we don't even know are proper good for you and tested. We know fags are bad for you, but let people have their own choice. They want a fag, let them have a fag. It's disgusting, and I had to live through it myself. And I'm back on fags. I'll smoke what I want. I'll do what I want. It'd be good for you. Give up. And well, it ain't good for you. It is for the health benefits, of course. But in prison, you need something to release. Now, are they trying to make people turn to other things, drugs and drink? A fag was so essential. And I used to speak in depth for a lot of my friends, the long-termers. That's all they like. They like go work. On their break, they'd have the fag. They look forward to coming back and having their fag for their dinner. And at night time, in the morning, then all that routine's gone. And they got to use a pen. Just because one officer's complaining. Who goes home every day. These guys have to stay there. So that officer who did that, I'd like to know who you are. And I'd like to have an interview with you. You're obviously cushy or at home and blah, blah, blah. Unless you've got a genuine medical problem from breathing in secondhand smoke, then you haven't got a valid reason. I mean, you get to go home. So you're probably, what time is it now? 12? You're probably at home now, chilling, or on your lunch break. While them boys are suffering in there for years and can't have a fag because of you. You shouldn't do the job, mate. Like I said, you should do a non-smoking jail and a smoking jail, and you work in the non-smoking jail, okay? Because the system's meant to be about prisoners. It's not about a prison officer. You're just a nobody with a chain and a silly people. Very, very silly. Not all of them, because I met some good ones along the time, but generally very, very silly people. They get paid to lock people away now. As an older man, that I'm growing into my years now, if I told my child, yeah, I lock people away for a living, it's a pathetic job. Very pathetic. Get a decent job, you know. But obviously got paid the bills and blah, blah, blah. But that job is not for me. I used to live with these people. I really mentally don't understand how they would want to do that job. Same as the women officers. Generally, the whole years I've done away, they were the hardest ones. It was like they're always harder faced. I think maybe they're trying to survive and try and put a front on to look tough to the guys. Because it can be a very bad environment for women in there. And that's why I didn't understand why women officers worked in men jails. I don't know why they don't just work in women jails and men work in men jails. Because guys are away for so many years and they see women again and they're like, whoa, it's beautiful, like, it's nice to see a woman. And then the women are like, yeah, but we're walking through a wing and all we're doing is getting stared at. Well, you know what you're doing. You're working in a men's environment, men are locked away. It's natural, a man and a woman. So if a man's attracted to you, he's going to tell you or show you. Just because you're in a uniform, you're a human being. What, you think you're above that man because he's in prison? No. We're all humans. And, yeah, I mean, how much I've gone in depth in Bullingdon already. It's only 20 minutes. There's plenty more to say on Bullingdon. Maybe I'll do another part another time, but the place, thinking about it and feeling about it again stresses me out a lot. Because I remember mentally the strength you had to have to get through it. And that hard-faced and stuff like that. But then when I was also used to go to church, I was a bit more softer in certain parts, but because you don't want to keep that bitterness inside and the anger, you know. Makes it worse on yourself. Bullying is very, 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 how can I explain it? It was just a frustration, the whole place. So, that is my third prison story. I obviously love speaking on camera, so it doesn't bother me personally. But, yeah, maybe we'll do another one on Bullingdon, and then we'll eventually do Stockton. And then, obviously, I've done a few other prison videos now, so I've pretty much covered my own story. So I think maybe another part 2 on Bullingdon, maybe not. Maybe part 2 on Aylesbury. Definitely the Stockton video, because that'd be a good long video, because I spent 3 years there. I just met a lot of fantastic people along the way, and it's just like, prisoners get judged enough, and I was a prisoner myself. You're just constantly getting judged, and it's hard for lads, you know. But there's always light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm obviously a man who's been out years, and I'm going to be a statistic that stays out. It's very low, people that actually stay out for years, but I'm going to be one of them, and hopefully a couple more lads can do the same, or every lad can do the same. If they've got drugs, problems, hopefully come out, be on rehab, get through it, because there's always light at the end of the tunnel. Just sometimes in prison, people, they give up, but luckily I never, and that was my third prison story about H&P Bullingdon, and there'll be more coming. Thank you very much.